Good morning, everyone. Once again, I'd like to salute the determination of the organizers who have worked, at least in the last 2 years, without fear, without hesitation, to hold this conference. This spirit I like and admire. It is Palestinianism. We never give up. In the mid-20th century, Palestine had witnessed a devastating event not seen on such a scale in its 5,000-year history. It is the largest, longest, most comprehensive, premeditated, and continuous ethnic cleansing operation in history. In 1948, massive ethnic cleansing of Palestinians took place, in which the Palestinians of at least 560,000 villages were depopulated and dispersed by colonial European Zionist forces. The refugees who lost their homes represent 2/3 of Palestinians. Today, the Palestinians are 13 million, and that is what we call a Nakba. It is much more than that. They lived in their homes for thousands of years, and all these red dots you see are Palestinian villages which have been attacked, depopulated, and people expelled. And Palestine became like that. It became empty, exactly as the Zionists wanted it in their dreams many years before. It's an empty land, but they made it so by force. Where are the people of Palestine? They are refugees in what's left of Palestine and in the neighboring areas. Now, here we have to ask ourselves a question. 70 years after Nakba, 100 years after Balfour, 50 years after the occupation of the remainder of Palestine, we have a stalemate. Israel controlled Palestine and expelled Palestinians by force of arms, but the Palestinians did not go away, and they will not go away. They will not disappear. In 2030, there will be 18 million Palestinians. At least 9 to 10 of them will be on the soil of Palestine itself, and the remainder, most of the remainder, will be within a ring of 100 miles around Palestine. So they don't need ships to go or airplanes. They can actually walk back home. So I can say, as an engineer and planner, we do not want to stop at theorizing. We have to plan for the return. And as a planner, I think it is my duty as Palestinian planner to do something in that. In order to do that, we have to consider 3 elements: the people and the land and the law, applicable law for future Palestine. The applicable law for future Palestine is well examined and documented. We only have to apply it. And the land of Palestine was also equally documented. We have records of every piece of land in Palestine and who owns it. We also know where the owners are at the moment in which refugee camp. So we will then try to be bold enough to plan the right of return. Today, these figures are for 2008. On the right side, the population of Palestine as it is, the Jews are in blue, the top tranche, 300,000 foreign workers, The one below it is 1 million Russians, and the rest are Ashkenazi and Arab Jews. With them, almost the same, slightly less, but now they are bigger. I said this is figures of 2008. About 4.5 million Palestinians. The red area represent them, but the dotted area represent the refugees among them. So on the right side, I'm sorry, I rephrased that. On the right side, the Palestinians who are outside Palestine, around the borders of Palestine. As you can see, most of them are refugees. So let us examine the situation today in what I call Palestine 1948, or you call Israel. Let us examine who lives there now, and in what proportion, and what kind of people. So Palestine is divided into towns and villages. Each one has a defined area of land. We examined who lives there today, even what kind of Jews live there today. So we came up with a starting result. All the green areas you see are Palestinian lands, village lands, which have no or very few Jews. I have the figures, 472, no Jews at all, and 400, slightly less than that, with few Jews, less than 5,000. Strange result. So actually there's nobody there to prevent the massive return of the refugees, or all the refugees. Then this blue area you see are the Jewish-owned areas during the British Mandate. That's what they owned according to the British Mandate, which amounts to about 6% of Palestine. Then we can examine also the location and the area of the cities. Cities shown here in brown are mostly on the coastline are mixed, but inland they are not mixed. So that's the picture. Then who then occupies the refugees' land? I can add one area here. You can see it slightly with dots. This is the area in which the Jews are a majority on what previously was refugee land. All right. So then we ask a simple question. Where are the Jews today are living? Here is a proportional size of circles where the Jews live today. As you can see, mostly around Tel Aviv, and in Jerusalem, and in Haifa. There are 3 Arab cities, Palestinian cities, which are now wholly Jewish, namely Al-Majdal, your town, and Asdod, which became a port, and Beersheba right down in the south. These are the only Palestinian cities which became wholly Jewish. Then can we then ask whether the Palestinians can return to their homes? Yes, they do. These are red dots. As you can see, there is very little conflict between the returning Palestinians and the existing population today, assuming that the population who are existing today have a right to take over some land. Now, let us look more closely at this. This is the mostly dense area between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And here is again the population, Jewish population, shown in the same blue circles. And the little tiny dots in blue, these are the kibbutz. And you can see sometimes the village lands shown in faint line are totally empty. Sometimes they have one kibbutz or two. Kibbutz usually about 300 people or 400 people. So the Palestinians then can return. As you see, they can return only to their original areas with very little conflict. Now, we can go even to the south of this area, which is east of Gaza Strip. You can see Gaza Strip on the left side. Gaza Strip, as you know, is very heavily populated. 7,000 people per square kilometers. They were depopulated from 247 villages south of Palestine, in the southern Palestine, and crammed into 1% of area of Palestine. 7,000 people per square kilometers. The people who took their land on the east have a density of 7 persons per square kilometers, 1,000 times less. 7. So actually people in Gaza, they can walk east and go to their homes. I'll have to rush. Okay, all right. So we can even plan the return of the refugees. These are the depopulated villages. The the green area are in Gaza and the brown are in Jordan. So we can bring them back easily. We know where they come from. Very easy. I mean, at least in plan and theory. The same thing in Galilee. Already all the pink areas are Palestinians, and the Jews who live there are in blue, and the refugees, if they return from Syria and Lebanon, will hardly make an effect on Galilee. They are there, they are darker red area. And of course, we can also bring them back home easily from Syria and Lebanon. The plan of this is very straightforward. For example, here are all the refugees, top line. At that time, they were 4.6 million. And then when the refugees from Gaza return, they are reduced to half, 2,800. And then if they go down back from Jordan, we are left with only 530,000 refugees from Syria and Lebanon. And that can come in 4 or 5 steps, which are very straightforward. Then we hear from people who support Israel and so on. What about the Jews who are there? Let us look closely where they live. I gave you a general idea. Of course, the most difficult area is around Tel Aviv. It's very crowded. Here it is showing the blue in the Jewish areas, and the colored green are Palestinians who live there. What we can do actually is examine that in detail. We can actually have all the Jews in Tel Aviv area and Jaffa in cantons. These cantons contain a very large number, almost 3/4 of the Jews. And you can see here a little black area. I have added this to link the cantons which are made here of a number of cases. We then can repeat that for Haifa. I'll show you here the very important addition. What I showed you just now is my suggestion of the cantons which contain the majority of Jews. When I added this second slide, it shows the built-up area today. Did they build up over Palestinian villages or not? You can see mostly they built up area, with few exceptions, in this crowded area on what was called Jewish land. So the built-up area over Palestinian land is very limited. Now, we can do the same for Haifa and this canton, which contains a large number of Jews. 2 minutes, yes. A built-up area is like that. But we cannot only stop there. These are the kibbutz cantons. There are only 4 of them. They are already living there. But that's the side of the Jews. What about Palestinians? Where would they go? I mean, when they go back. Here is a nice picture, satellite picture, of a satellite picture of what's called the Israeli countryside. This picture contains a war crime. This picture contains a grave of a village. Here is the grave of a village. You can see the texture of the village where it was destroyed. We still can know where it is exactly. And that village is called Beit Jirja, north of Gaza today. But we know this village. We know their houses. These houses are numbered in green. We have the names of house owners. We know where they live, and we can retrace them back to their homes. Now, we can do the same experiment for other Palestinian villages, Zinat in Haifa, Farah in Safad, Majd al-Yaba in Ramla, and so on. You can always see that 85% of village sites are still empty. And we can also have plans to reconstruct them. Reconstruction is very easy. We have the same equivalent number of engineers and labor. We know how to do this. We know even how many sacks of cement we need to build them. And the cost of all that, the cost of all that, ladies and gentlemen, is much less than the aid given by United States to Israel. And it is even paid once, not every year, and sometimes we don't need it. And I conclude by saying there is no moral reason, there is no legal reason, there is no demographic reason, there is no geographical reason, there is no historical reason, there is no logistical reason that Palestinians cannot go home. There is only one, that is apartheid Israel, and it must be abolished, this policy of apartheid and racism.